Hi there, the Math Dog here. In this video, I'm going to be solving some simple proportion problems. These are word problems, and I will use cross multiplication to solve them. It's highly recommended to watch my video on why you can use cross multiplication to solve simple proportion problems. And on many of these problems, you may use a calculator to do them. So let's get started. So recall that if you have the fraction or the ratios a over b equals c over d, this is I call this a proportion problem, and assuming that b and d are not zero, because that would mean you'd have division by zero, which is not allowed, we can actually cross multiply a times d and then b times c to get the result a times d equals b times z. I'm sorry, a times d equals b times c. Okay. So that's, we'll call it a shortcut method, and we're going to use this method to solve all these problems in this video once we get them set up. So for example, solve 4 over x equals 5 over 8. Well, I'm going to use cross multiplication, so I have x times 5, or 5x equals 4 times 8, which is 32. So then solving for x, I have 5 times x. To undo multiplication, I use division. So I get x is 32 fifths. Okay, so if you wanted to write that as a mixed number, you could divide 5 into 32. 5 goes to 32 6 times. 6 times 5 is 32. So one way is 6 and 2 fifths. So we could keep going here if we wanted. So this is the mixed number equivalent of 32 fifths. You could keep going if you want. You could do decimal division. So I'm going to add a decimal point here. I'm going to add a 0, bring the 0 down. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20, remainder 0. So our decimal equivalent is 6 and 4 tenths, or 6.4. So this is first problem, to be no calculator. So let's say that you have 3 towns here, or 3 places, and you want to go from J-Town to Hova City to Techville back to J-Town, and I want to know how far this actual trip distance is in miles, if in fact this is a scale drawing. This scale drawing is not drawn to scale, but just use the numbers I've given you. So the scale is 1 inch is 5 miles. So I want to find a round trip distance going around the triangle here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to find the perimeter, but I'm going to get the scale perimeter first. 3.2 plus 3, add a decimal point 0.04. So add those, I get 2. 3 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. So the scale distance is 10.2 inches. So now I'm going to use a proportion to solve this. So I'm going to go, okay, my scale to actual is 1 inch is to 5 miles. Okay, then I know my scale is 10.2 inches around, so I put the scale up here on top with the inches because this is the scale measurement. So my unknown distance I'll call x here, and that's going to be in miles. Now, when you solve proportion problems, you don't have to worry about the units as long as they match top, or like in this case inches, and this would be miles. But I'm going to do this problem here to show you why in fact you can do that, but you don't have to include the inches. So I'm going to cross multiply here. So I'm going to go 1 inch times x equals 5 miles times 10.2 inches. So I'm going to cross multiply. So the thing is, inches divide out inches. So if I divide inches on the left side, I have to divide on the right side. So those are gone. Let's do a different color there. It's hard to see that. So inches go away here. So now I have 1 times x is x. So I get x is 10.2 times 5 miles, because I can rearrange multiplication. And 10.2 times 5, when I multiply, line up the right digits. Don't worry about decimal points when you line it up. 2 times 5 is 10, carry a 1. 0 times 5 is 5. I'm sorry, 0 times 5 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Move decimal point one place left, so it's 51 miles. Okay, so but in this problem you don't really need to, if you got your units the same on top and on the bottom, you don't have to do all that. You can just go 1 is to 5 as 10.2 is to x, cross multiply, get x is 5 times 10.2, which is 51. We already did that calculation. Okay. Okay, so this is no calculator, this is practice. I want you to stop the video after I read the question and then go ahead and do it. So from home to school to library is 2.8 inches plus 1.9 inches on a scale drawing. This is not drawn to scale. The actual scale though is going to be 1 inch is 0.7 miles. So I want you to find the distance from home to school to library. So from here, going to here to here. And then when you're done, start the video and see if you agree with what I get. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got home to school is 2.8 inches, and then from school to library is 1.9 inches. So that's a total, that's 17, carry a 1, 4.7 inches. Okay, the scale is 1 inches to 0.7 miles actual, so I'm going to write scale to actual is, okay, put my scale first. I'm going to put my scale first. So I go 1 inch is to 0.7 miles as 4.7 inches is to, we'll call this x, which is the distance. Okay, so I cross multiply 1 inch times x. I'm just going to write x. 1 times x is x. And the units here I'm not going to worry about. I know my answer has to be in miles. So I have then 0.7 times 4.7. Let's do that again. So that's 0.7 times 4.7. So aligning the rightmost digits up, 7 times 7 is 49, carry the 4. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 4 is 32. Move the decimal point. I don't know why I have a mark there, I shouldn't. Let's just do that again. So I got 4.7 times 0.7. So that's 49, carry a 4. So 4 times 7 is 28, plus 4 is 32. Then I need to move the decimal point 2 places to the left because I have 2 places behind, so that's 3.29. So x is 3.29 miles, and that's my distance from home to school to library. Okay, this time I have a square that I want to calculate the perimeter in miles and the area in square miles. So the scale dimensions are 6 inches by 6 inches. This is not accurate, but we're going to imagine it is. So the scale is 1 inch model, or the scale drawing, to 5 miles actual. So what I'm going to do is to find the perimeter. This is a square, so I'm just going to add all this up. Well, a square is going to be 4 by 6 for the perimeter, 4 by 6 inches for the scale, because you got 4 sides that are 6 inches each. So So that's 24 inches. Okay, so we can set up a proportion, scale to actual. So I have 24 inches. Actually, let's put the scale first. So I have 1 inch is to 5 miles. As 24 inches is to P. We'll call P for perimeter here. P is perimeter, the actual. So now I have this equation. I'm just going to cross multiply. P times 1 is P equals 5 times 24. So P, 24 times 5 is 120. And that's going to be miles. Since it's miles down here, it's miles here. So the perimeter is 120 miles, the actual square. Now the area is a little more interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the scale area. So scale area is side times side, so that's 6 inches times 6 inches, which is 36 square inches. That's the scale. So please watch what I'm doing here. So the scale here is 1 inch is 5 miles. One inch is to 5 miles. Okay, but the thing is, so now that's going to equal, well, it's not equal to it yet, but we're going to put an equal sign in there. So my scale area is 36 inches squared, and this is the area I'm trying to find here for the actual area, which will be in, it's actually going to be square miles. So we have a problem here right now. This is inches, miles, this is square inches. So what I have to do is I have to make this into square units. So I'm going to have to square this and this to make this work. So 1 inch squared is 1 square inch. 5 miles times 5 miles is 25 square miles. And that's going to equal 36 square inches over A. Well, now the units will match, so now I just can cross multiply, but I had to do this first. So now I have A times 1 is A, and I have 25 by 36, and that's going to be my area in square miles. So I take 25 times 36, 5 times 6 is 30, carry a 3, 2 times 6 is 12, plus 3 is 15, add a placeholder 0, 5 times 3 is 15, carry a 1, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So get 0, 10, 9. So my area is going to be 900 square miles for that figure, the actual. Okay, let's do a practice problem. You may use a calculator on this. I've got a scale drawing of a plot of land. I'm showing 1.5 inches by 5.2 inches, not drawn to scale again. Scale is for the scale drawing 1 inch to 8 miles for the actual plot of land. So we'll start with find the perimeter of the plot of land. So stop the video, do the calculation, and see if you agree with what I got. Okay, so the perimeter is going to be, I've got for the scale, I've got 2 times 1.5 plus 2 times 5.2. So 2 times 1.5 is 3. 5.2 times 2 is 10.4. So this is going to be in inches, so I line up the decimal points. So 3 actually, the whole number has a decimal point behind it. That's be 13.4 inches. So scale is 13.4 inches. So now we'll set up a proportion. You could put actual over scale. I'm doing scale to actual here. So my scale is going to be 1 inch is to 8 miles as, I like to say as, 13.4 inches is to x, and x is the well, let's call it p for perimeter here. You can call it x, but I'll call it p. P is the actual perimeter. And that will be in miles. So I'm to cross multiply, so I get 1p, or p equals 8 times 13.4. I don't know, it's just easier to do that, I think, without a calculator actually for me, so I'm just going to do it over here. So that's going to be 32, carry a 3. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 3 is 27, carry a 2. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 2 is 10. We have 1 place behind a decimal point. So that's 107.2 miles is the actual perimeter. Okay? So now the area. Okay, stop the video, try to find the area, and then in the actual area, and then turn the video back on and I'll work through the solution. Okay, so the area is going to be, for the rectangles, base times height, so the area, the scale area, will be 1.5 times 5.2. So I'm just going to multiply those over here. That's 10, carry a 1, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. Add a placeholder 0, 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 1 is 5. So you get 0, 8, and 7. 2 places to find decimal points, so that's 7.8 square miles. I'm sorry, square inches, because we're talking about the scale drawing right now. Okay, so now we remember we're going to have to square some things here, so we're going to go scale to actual. So scale was 1 inch to 8 miles. The scale area is 7.80, or 7.8 square inches. Area is going to be in square miles. A is the area, actual area. And that's going to be in square miles. So I'm going to put A here. So remember now, we're not done here because this is in square inches. This is only inches. This is square miles. Our unknown is in terms of square miles, A. This is in miles. So what we have to do is we have to square over here 1 inch. We have to square that. We have to square 8 miles. So now we get 1 times 1 is 1. So that's A. 1A, or A, is going to be, now this is already in square inches, so you leave it as 7.8. So we don't square this, it's already in square units. This is not, so I have to take 8 squared, which is 64 here. So my answer is going to be 7.8 times 64. I guess I could use a calculator, but this isn't that big of a calculation, so I'm just going to do it pencil and paper here. So I've got 4 times 8 is 32, carry a 3. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 3 is 51. Add a placeholder 0 here. 4 times 7 is 28. Carry a 2. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus 2 is 44. So now I have 2. Adding these up. 2, 9, 9, 4. One place behind a decimal point. So it's going to be, my area is going to be 499.2 square miles. That's the final answer for area. Okay, so no, this is no calculator again, so this is an example. So a gasoline additive calls for 2 ounces of additive for every gallon of gas. If you have 120 gallons of gas and you want to add the additive, how much additive should you use? So notice a gallon is 128 ounces. So I'm going to set up a ratio here and then a proportion. So we have 2 ounces. So let's do additive to gas. You could do gas to additive, just depend, your numbers would get switched around. So additive to gas, so I know I need 2 ounces for every 1 gallon. Okay, now I want to make 120 gallons of gas, so I need to know how much additive. I'm actually not even going to need to use that here. So X is going to be the ounces of additive. So my units match here. I have gallons, gallons, ounces. This has to be ounces here. So all I do is cross multiply. So X is going to be 2 times 120. So I'm going to need 240 ounces of additive. Alright, let's see if you can do this practice question here. So you will not use a calculator here. A paint mixture calls for 5 parts blue to 2 parts red. If you need to make a total of 270 gallons of the paint mixture, how much blue paint and how much red paint do you need? Okay, so stop the video. A little hint is you need to calculate the total number of parts in the paint mixture to answer the question. And I told you you need 5 parts blue and 2 parts red. So when you're done, start the video and check to see if you got what I did. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write, I need 5 parts blue, I have 2 parts red, and I'm going to need 7 parts total. So what I'm going to do is, since I want to know initially, I want to know the, you could do the red paint first or blue paint. I'm going to do the blue paint. So I'm going to go blue is to total. And the ratio is 5 to 7. I have 5 parts blue out of 7 parts total, and that's got to equal, okay, so this is unitless. Okay, I want to make a total of 270 gallons, so that goes down here. And my X is the total number of gallons needed, or 200, no, this is the gallons of blue. Total, this should be gallons of blue. So X is the gallons of blue. Needed. So that's X. So now cross multiplying, I get 7x equals 5 times 270. Okay, so 5 times 270, 0 times 5 is 0, 7 times 5 is 35, carry a 3, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So I have 7x equals 1,350. Solving for x, I got to undo this multiplication, use division, so I'm dividing 7 into 1,350. 7 goes to 13 once. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract that 6. Bring down the 5. 7 goes to 65 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63. Subtract the 2. Get to, bring down to 0. So right here, you put a decimal point after that 1350 and move it straight up. So 7 goes to 20 then twice. 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, I get 6. Let's get this, we're going to round this answer at some point. So 7 goes to 60 then 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. Then I'm going to add yet another 0. So I brought this one down here. I'm going to bring another 0, bring it down here. So 7 goes into 40 5 times. So I'm going to round it to the nearest gallon. So 192.85. Since that's an 8 back there, that becomes 93. So X is about 193 gallons of blue. Okay, and then to find the red, I just take 270 minus 193. So I have to borrow to get that 1 there, so that becomes a 16, and I have to borrow from the 2. So I get 10 minus 3 is 7, 16 minus 9 is 7. So I'm going to need about 77 gallons red. And this concludes the video. If you found this video informative and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Math Dog. You may share the content of this video with others. Thank you and have a good day.